Okay. Think about it, guys. We only got 2 more weeks of this class. So, what a deal. Basically, what's going to happen today is we're going to finish out that one lecture we were on. Tell you what you need to know for your first extra credit quiz that are just points. So, you're going to have that quiz on Wednesday. Then, we'll start the next lecture today. Probably finish it up on Wednesday. Then we'll get into a tear in the seams, which is one of my favorite lectures. That's going to be Friday, Monday, Wednesday, halfway through. We'll do the review for the final. And then next Friday, that's your final. Oh, and you'll also have your last extra credit quiz that you don't have to take because it's not going to hurt you, but it is on finals week. And if you want to take it, it's there. You have the opportunity to get a little bit more points. Because remember, final is the last big grade, and that's 20 points. I want you all to be doing as good as possible on it, okay? So look at about what you did on your midterm. Hopefully you'll get better on the final. Hopefully you won't get worse, but make sure you're prepared. All right. So in other words, by next Friday, you're going to need another Scantron. Got it? Got it. Okay, so what's going on today? Oh, by the way, did everybody have a good Thanksgiving? Yes. Anybody go anywhere? No. Okay. Today up at the school, we got mechanical bull riding. That's from 11 to 1. That might be fun. Tomorrow they got pancakes and PJs from 12:30 to 2:30. I don't know if anybody's schedule that's going to fit. Dodgeball can't do. They're having a food distribution on Thursday the 11th from 11 to 1. If you know people that might need to take advantage of that opportunity, can't do that, can do that, which is the virtual 5K. So if you're going to be 17 by December 16th and you want to do it, go ahead and sign up for it. Get her done. All right, that's that. Next thing is we just started this homeless packages, and I believe I sent y'all out this email. So if you've got some of this stuff, you can bring it up here to class, and I'll go and I'll drop it off on campus, and that's going to be till Friday of this week. And once again, one of the easiest ways to do this is just go to a dollar store, and you can get a lot for hopefully not too much money. Concerts that are still out there. Tomorrow they're having the new music ensemble concert, and then on Wednesday they're having the solo guitar concert. If you're interested in seeing those, remember, just go to it and click on it, and it takes you to the link. Hey, love me. We do love you. Oh my. Okay. And finalement, you've got an opportunity to participate in the student writing contest for the Texas Center for Working Class Studies. If you did write something or you're interested in doing that, it's got to be emailed to Lisa Kirby, L. Kirby, by 5 o'clock on Friday, December 9th. She's a real nice lady, and I know Dr. Kirby would appreciate anything you might have to offer. If you do actually make it through and are chosen, there's a $250 prize for the first place, $200 for second, $150 for third, and you'll present your work at the Texas Center for Working Class Studies conference on February 16th. So that and a nickel, get you a nickel. All right, anything else? 9? Let's go. Oh my. Should have been where we got up to last time. Basically getting political, as I know y'all love politics. So basically, remember guys, there is no more Federalist Party. You have the rise of this new group calling themselves the Whigs. Why are they there? Because basically these guys hate Jackson. It's made out of clay supporters, Southern nullifiers, anti-Masons, Christian, people that have nothing similar at all, except they hate Andrew Jackson. They coalesce into what's known as the Whig Party. And in the midterm elections, the 1834 congressional elections, they get a lot of victories. So they start feeling like, wow, people really do like us. They're able to defeat their Democratic counterparts. Well then, the granddaddy of the Democrat Party, Democratic Party, Van Buren, he runs for the presidency in 1836, and the Whigs, they don't have the unity anymore. They run a lot of different candidates because they feel like, hey, no one's going to win a majority, so it's going to have to go to the House of Representatives, and we can do stuff behind the scenes and basically win. Well, no, Van Buren won because the Whigs weren't unified. Now, the fact that the Democrats won actually worked out kind of good for the Whigs. Why? Because basically Van Buren's presidency was wrapped up with a lot of economic turmoil that was caused in the battle between Andy Jackson and Biddle, the president of the National Bank of National Bank of America. And Jackson's Spice Circular that demanded people pay for things in cold hard cash hurt a lot of people economically. And Van Buren only adds to the problem by sticking to the hard money policies. He cuts government spending. Now wait a minute, why would cutting government spending, why would that hurt the economy? Isn't that good? Isn't it good if you stop the government from spending so much money? Well, the problem is, it hurts the little guy in the short term. Like, say, I was on food stamps, and I went to your convenience store to buy my milk, which I can do with food stamps. So I go to your store and I get a gallon of milk, and I give them the money. Well, now I don't have the money where I can go in and do that. I don't have those food stamps because they've been reduced by the government. So he is hurting because he's not getting money from that anymore. You, who own the dairy farm that was selling, you're hurting because you're not selling much less produce. You drive the truck, and now you've got less routes, so you're making less money. Even though it helps in the long run, in the short run it hurts. And he established regional treasury offices, meaning now it was even easier for the tax man to get your money. So from 1836 to 1840, a lot of Americans get pretty frustrated. And then we get to the log cabin and hard cider campaign of 1840. Why do they call it the log cabin and hard cider? Because the Democratic opponent, the Whigs did unite underneath one candidate, Harrison, who was the territorial governor of Indiana, fought the Battle of Tippecanoe. And a lot of the Democratic candidates thought, oh, this guy's kind of a rube. You grew up in a log cabin and all you had was hard cider to drink. That would be like today saying you grew up in a mobile home and all you had to drink was, I don't know, what's a really cheap drink? Kool-Aid. or something like that. And instead of running from it, he embraced it. He said, yeah, I grew up in a log cabin. Yeah, we only had hard cider. My family couldn't afford a big mansion. We didn't have fine champagne. And you know, more Americans were living in log cabins than were living in fine mansions. More Americans were drinking Kool-Aid or hard cider than champagne, so he seemed like a man of the people. Not only that, they nominate a Southern Democrat, Tyler, for the vice. They get someone from the other political party to be their vice president. That's why their campaign slogan was Tippecanoe and Tyler too. Bless you.
Thank you.
Bless you again. And they present Harrison as a common man, just like, you know, log cabin, hard cider. Hey, I'm one of you. I'm not like the big fat cats. You know, I'm not a politician. I'm one of you guys. You know, kind of like some argue that during the election against Hillary Clinton, Trump did that, where he was supposedly, you know, one of us. I'm going to drain the swamp. Hillary tried to be like that at the beginning, but then it didn't work for her, so she kind of went the other way. Which leads a lot of people to say, oh, and by the way, President Clinton did the exact same thing. President George Bush, the second, the son, not the elder, he did the same exact thing. And one of the things I love about George Bush, have you heard his father speak? Does his father have a Texas accent? No. What about his brother who was governor of Florida? Does he have a Texas accent? No. But George Bush, yeah, he's got a Texas accent. Sometimes he says words a little off, a little strange. See what I did there? You know why? Because he's one of us. But in reality, the thing that really cinched the deal for Harrison was economic troubles here in America. And so basically, he gets voted into office. Don't cry. You know why she was crying? Because it's the last slide. And now I got to tell you what you need to know. Oh, you don't need to go back? Okay. I'll leave it here. It doesn't matter. Okay, let me tell y'all what you need to know for your quiz. All right, because I'm kind of a trade union guy, a labor kind of guy, no generalities about the trade union movement in antebellum America. And once again, what does antebellum mean? Before the Civil War. So no generalities like did they form a national organization? Why did they rise up? What was going on with the journeymen? Were they real successful? No about the case Commonwealth v. Hunt. That was very important for trade unions. Know why it was so important? Know about the violence that was commonplace in the urban life of the 1830s and 40s. And know about some of the reform movements that were going on at this time. You had like Dorothea Dix with the insane. And by the way, did any of you guys watch that documentary? It's on your video links. It's kind of interesting, 10 minutes long. Know about like abolitionism, getting rid of slavery, anti-alcohol movements. You don't have to worry about the religious movements that were going on. Yeah, know about the reform movements that were going on. We talked about like Dorothea Dix with the insane. We talked about abolitionism. Talked about anti-alcoholic, prison reform, education reform.
Can you put a third one, please?
Huh?
A third one, please.
That was violence that was part of urban life. And remember, guys, this that your quiz is going to be on Wednesday, and that's just me giving you free points. So even if you get a 0 on it, it's not going to hurt your grade. All it will do is help your grade. But don't get too cocky, because your grade right now is only out of 80. It's not out of 100. Your final's going to make it out of 100. But get as many points as you can now, okay? Help you out. And yes, it is possible to get better than 100 in my class, because I do give you the extra credit stuff. Like your final will, just like your midterm. How many questions does your midterm have? 23. 23? Your final will probably have 23. Any other questions? All right. Westward expansion. The period from 1840 to 1849. Now actually, here in America, we've been moving west for a long time. So we're not really going to get into the 1840 to 49 part until a little later in the lecture. The explosion westward. Now, most Americans had two different views of the West. Either it was a desert where only the hardiest and most barbaric Native Americans could survive, or it was a resplendent region, rich in resources. Either way, there was lots of land for the taking. And as our transportation system becomes stronger, speculators and then settlers would follow. And although we try to implant our economic system and East Coast ways on the land, the successful ones soon discover that you've got to adapt to the land. It's not going to adapt to you. Oh my. Now guys, this was already a very complex world. I mean, you had Spanish, French, Russian, and other Europeans made the already complex world of intergroup relations in the West become even more complicated. And remember, you had myriad of nations of Native American groups that are even different from each other. Like I tell you, even though we weren't a Western people until they moved us out with the Trail of Tears, but if you went to the Cherokee Nation, not every Cherokee tribe was the same. Just like, guys, is every American the same? Are Texans the same as people from Maine? They wear different kind of clothes. They eat different kind of foods. They might speak French. We might speak Spanish. Okay, well then, is every Texan the same? No. People from Dallas are not the same as people from Houston, people from Brownsville, people from El Paso, people from, guys, okay, so then all Dallasites are the same, right? So people from Plano are just like the people that live in Oak Cliff. No. Okay, well, wait a minute. So people in Plano are just like the people that live in Richardson. No. Okay? There's a myriad of differences going on. But there also was the opportunity for money. Like William H. Ashley established the rendezvous system in the Rocky Mountains back in 1825. He'd worked for Astor Hats, and he wanted to make hats out of beaver pelts. And he didn't want to use the old system of traveling to the different fur trappers, and instead devised a system where rugged mountain men like Kit Carson Carson, Jeremiah Johnson, and the former slave freedman, Jim Betworth, as well as other unemployed men in the West, would capture beaver pelts from certain areas and take them to a trading market. So basically he announced, hey, on October 4th I'm starting here. By November 3rd I'm going to be at Fort Atkinson. I'll stay there for a little bit. Then I'm going up to the Fort Henry, and you have these villagers that can come there. And he had announced all this, so basically people could go out, hunt all their beavers, and bring them to him. Was he successful? Well, when he died, he had about as much money as this other guy in 1990. What was his name? Oh yeah, Bill Gates. He had, I mean, if you put his worth into current dollars, that's how much he was worth. Well, the only problem is, they go out and they kind of overhunt the beaver. So their numbers are vastly reduced. And also, guys, what happened to fashions? From the 1830s, 1840s, if everybody has a beaver hat, do you want a beaver hat anymore? No. Now you want a silk hat from Asia. So basically, the fur trappers that were out there, they know the land. They kind of become general developers for the land. They work together with land speculators, selling off the land to migrants. And in other places, like up in the Rocky Mountains, they might become gold prospectors. You know, hit a shallow vein, make a little money, move on. Now guys, why were people going out west? Well guys, economic self-betterment. You know, they were going out to make money. The same reason why you guys might move to Comfort, Texas after you graduate from college. Because that's where you get your first job. You might move out to LA. You might move to Denver. You might move to Houston. I don't know. Why are you doing it? Because that's where opportunity is. And you had a lot of people from New England where there's just no longer land that, you know, we had grandfather who had all this land and he broke it into fourths because of his 4 sons. And then my dad, he had 5 sons, so I'm only going to get 25 acres and you have to have a minimum of 40 acres. So I just sell my land to my brother. I head out. Also, you had people in the north, because they had all those textile factories. Well, you can make, out of cotton, you can make textiles, but people don't want to wear cotton in the winter. They want something that keeps in the heat. So they started raising sheep. And a lot of sheep herders were going up and buying up the land for these sheep ranches. Now, most of the guys that are going out to the west do so in large groups. Why would they go out in large groups? Yeah, safety in numbers. Same reason if you guys, you know, hey, let's go out to Deep Elm, yeah. You make sure you have at least 2 of your friends with you. Ready for the next one? Now there was kind of one exception to this. Texas. Texas wasn't even in the United States. When it first starts with Texas, Texas is owned by Spain, yeah. Sure. Texas is under Spain. Basically, Moses Austin was able to get the governor interested in settling Americans. Okay, I'll show you. And the reason why Mexico was so willing to get Americans here was because this is a piece of documentary that I made. Oops. Come on. Ah. Up. Look at that's me.
¡De comparse! ¡Soldados, reparen! ¡Para el sanatorio!
So those are the westernmost settlers. Meanwhile, the Mormons left Illinois as a community, led by Brigham Young. Why? Because, guys, Joseph Smith was murdered in Illinois. And the Mormons said, we can't stay here. We got to get out. They first settled in Nauvoo. And they built, because, guys, remember, they've been persecuted and chased wherever they've been. So they have a security force that's larger than the U.S. Army. And Brigham Young, he sends out 126 searchers to go to find the idyllic place to locate his church. And June 24th, 1847, the Great Salt Lake was chosen as to where they'd settle, in Utah. In Deseret. And guys, have any of y'all been to Salt Lake City? What's it like out there?
Cool.
Well, Salt Lake City looks nice, but what's all the land going to Salt Lake City? Is it really nice land? Not really. It's kind of like driving through West Texas, except it was even more arid. Guys, he chose that place because nobody lived there and nobody was going to throw him out. Now remember, most of the guys that are going west totally lack cash. They were just going out there searching for opportunity. We didn't really have an infrastructure to get their crops profitably back to market. And so basically they squatted on the land, and politicians were smart and said, hey, we'll give you first up when this land does go up for sale. We'll give you the first opportunity. You'll get kind of the first right to buy it. Ready for the next slide? The social fabric of the West. And the first area we'll look at is down south in the cotton country. And basically, the Native Americans have prepared the way for white settlers by clearing the land for agriculture. Of course, they were doing it for their agriculture. But as soon as Andrew Jackson was able to defeat the Creeks, that kind of removed the largest resistance to American expansion in the area. And basically surveyors would go and they'd lay out the land. Now, of course, not all land is the same. You're going to have some land that's near rivers, might have really lush soil, be very verdant. Other land isn't going to be as good. And guys, because there's that discrepancy, a lot of people are trying to grow cotton to make it rich. You're going to have a big gap between the have and the have-nots. Oh, and while surveyors didn't do most of the land in the South, Stephen F. Austin did make sure he surveyed all of his land. So it was much more organized. Now what about up north as they're going west? Well, just like in the south, Native Americans had already cleared the land. And they are carefully detailing out the surveying, just like they did with the Ohio River Valley, where they had the 640 acre lots, the designated central city lot. So the Old Northwest quickly kind of replicated New England. And you had traditional institutions established, like a Methodist church or a Presbyterian church. Same kind of grocery store. And guys in the north, because everybody's kind of growing the same thing, why aren't they growing cotton in the north? Huh?
You don't need to.
You can't. Cotton's not going to grow really well up north. So most people are growing potatoes. I'm growing potatoes, you're growing corn, he's growing wheat, you're growing turnips. They're all about the same. We're all making about the same amount of money. So there's not going to be this huge discrepancy between the have and the have-nots. But unlike the Southwest, which has a lot of class differences. Now out in Oregon, as more and more people are moving out there, you do start to have difficulties with the Native Americans. But they were at first good. Then you have the Cayuse War in 1847 that pretty much ended a lot of the Native American resistance. Now, one thing that was similar in the expansion in the north, expansion in the south, expansion in the west, was religious revivals were present in all three. And in the Old Northwest in Oregon, they kind of reinforced town life. Whereas in the South, it was all about expansion. Ready for the next slide? Oh. The Hispanic Southwest. All right, remember guys, from California all the way over here to Tejas, Spain owned a lot of the Southwest. And their basic institution, ever since they had done the Reconquista in Spain, was the missions. You know, yeah, the missions, they teach the newly conquered people, be it the Moors in Spain, be it the Native Americans over here, to teach them Spanish, kind of the Spanish religion. This is the way Spain farms, this is the kind of food. And when they were underneath the Spanish crown, they were able to afford to do that. The new nation of Mexico, and at these missions, there was interethnic and interracial harmony. You know, like here in Texas, the only missions we had that were really successful, there were some near Nacogdoches, but the ones in San Antonio, all right, where you had people like Esteban Austin, who spoke fluent Spanish. You had Santiago Bowie, James Bowie, who married the governor's daughter, okay? And Native Americans were there for trade. So you had interethnic and interracial harmony. The missions are privatized, meaning that people can come in and buy up the mission. Like in Northern California, John Sutter, he buys a mission. Out in Santa Fe, you do have a wealthy elite that's part Spanish, part Mexican, part Native American. Traders are going in there all the time. That might be a French trader, might be a British trader, might be a Russian trader. Native Americans. And in Texas, until once again, the Anglo population got too large. At the time of our revolution in 1836, basically the population of San Antonio, the largest city, was 1/3 Anglo, 1/3 Tejano, and 1/3 German. Believe it or don't. Ready for the next slide? What about the Mormons, though? Well, up in Utah, guys, conditions in Utah made central management, demanded central management and control of the church. Basically, the church was the one that was divvying out the land. Okay? Now, see, what they did, though, was you have 2 wives, so I'm going to give you 200 acres of land, because you got more people to work. You can work 100, they can both work 50. You have only got 1 wife, so you're only going to get 150 acres worth of land. But if you produce more per acre than you produce, I'm going to take some of your land away and give it to him, because he knows how to use the land. So there's kind of this competition between everybody that's living out there. And the Mormons, of course, did everything they could to exclude non-Mormons. Hey, that's mean. Well, guys, why do you think they did that? Because they started out in New York. But then what happened to them in New York? They got kicked out. By who? Non-Mormons. So they moved to another state. So they got kicked out. By who? Non-Mormons. So they moved to Illinois, where their leader gets killed. They get kicked out by non-Mormons. Guys, they did develop very close relations with the Native Americans. Now, why do you think the Mormons had good relations with the Native Americans? According to Mormon beliefs, where did Jesus go after he ascended in Jerusalem? Where did he come? Do you all remember me telling you? Huh?
With the Native Americans, or?
Yeah, he came over here. He came to America. He preached the gospel to the Native Americans. That's what the Book of Mormon is all about. Another testament of Jesus Christ. Only problem, now this sounds good, but the only problem is the trail. That they even built a trail to get other Mormons to come out and live in Salt Lake City. They built hand carts that they would donate to these families to move all their stuff out there. Only problem is the Mormon trail was too good. And a lot of people that were not Mormon used it to try to get out west. Which causes some difficulties. The triumph of manifest destiny. Okay, guys, as a concept, basically this contributed greatly to westward expansion, drawing from religion about America being a Zion in the wilderness, and we were supposed to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ, so you have Christian missionary organizations that support this thing, and because people are doing it anyway, politicians, they're following suit. Yeah, go west. You can see here's kind of a painting of Manifest Destiny. She's an angel, and they're all going out, and the Native Americans are running away. Ba-da.